I'm Andy. I'm a survivor of human trafficking, and I'm also a queer and trans person. I was raised in a really high control religious context. That was where I experienced my exploitation for the most part. And I was raised with the expectation that I would grow up to be a nice evangelical lady, and that clearly is not what happened. But while I was in this religious community that was also very exploitative, I I started to hear and internalize a lot of negative beliefs about myself as a queer and trans person. And that made it hard to reach out for help because I had been told and internalized that I was not fully deserving of human rights. And so it's hard to feel that you can ask to be treated humanely when you've been told that you deserve to be treated inhumanely. And when I finally got over that hurdle, I was living in Florida at the time, and what I found, unfortunately, was that the vast majority of resources that were dedicated to survivors of trafficking were dedicated to cis women. And that is an important sector of survivors who deserve to be able to receive services. But what it unfortunately meant was that a lot of folks who did not meet that description were being left out, and I was one of them. I was fortunate enough, with the assistance of a lot of community members, to be able to move to New York, where I did find a service provider who was able to help me get through what I was dealing with. But even here, many service providers don't really go that far beyond serving cis women, and there are a lot of deficits for LGBTQ folks, and even some cishet men, which has been a really surprising thing for me as a queer and trans person to realize and think about. And that's a deficit that we see here in New York, but it's a deficit we see all around the country, and it's a deficit that faces rural communities particularly strongly, as well as communities of color around the country. And so that's something that's really critical for LGBTQ inclusivity in the anti-trafficking